Hello class, this video tutorial is for the elevations week 6, mostly for the lab, Wednesday's lab that missed due to inclement weather. This will still be due of you, so we thought we'd make a video on how to get through this. So I'm going to start with the front elevation. This is the front here. Then we'll move to the side elevation. May even work on both of them at the same time. Right, here's the house, right? So this is the front with the porch. This is the side elevation. So looking at that in CAD, the front elevation is that we're standing here looking this way at the house. Side elevation, we're standing here looking this way at the house. So to draw the front elevation, my plans are already in the correct orientation, meaning they align and are rotated the right way. To ensure that they're aligned properly, I'm going to use a construction line. I'm going to right click here and choose vertical, and I'll place that construction line at the corners that define the perimeter of the building. So this is easier to read. I'm going to turn off my dimensions. My layers might be a bit different than yours, but if you've done this correctly, you'll appreciate it now, as I've just clicked and turned these off. There is also an option for, let's see, freezing certain layers of like characters, right? Okay. Of course, we would have saved this as week 6. So you're starting from your floor plan file. Save it as week 6 elevations, then you're ready to draw. I'm going to copy my plans over because ultimately I want a full complete set of drawings embedded in this CAD file. So I want to maintain this orientation. I want to preserve that layout. So I moved the plans apart a little bit. I'm going to draw my elevation in here. I've ensured that these line up. The next thing I want to do is establish some heights. So again, I'm going to construction line. I right click, horizontal. I'm going to put one line down. I'm going to put this on the heavy layer. This is my grade line. So I want it to be the heaviest line on the drawing. For the rest of the horizontal lines, I'm going to look at this side elevation. So let's study what's going on here. We have the grade, so I just drew this line. We have the porch up 2 foot 1 inches. The first floor is 6 inches above the porch. Then we have 10 feet floor to floor. That's first floor. This line represents the first floor. This is the second floor. They're 10 feet apart. Alright. Let's go to the front elevation. So one of the important lines I'll need to draw this front elevation is the spring line. The spring line could also be called top of wall height, right here. And that's where the rafters will rest. So let's go back and get this number. I want to know grade to first floor. So it's 2 foot 1 plus 6, giving us 2 foot 7. So I'm going to copy my grade line up 2 foot 7. I'm going to put this on the medium layer. I'm actually going to change my medium layer to a color that's going to help us see this on my screen. And we'll make it white. This is an adjustment I'm doing on my end. No need for you to do it on your end. So we have first floor here. I copy that line up 10 feet. Now that represents the second floor. The spring line on the front is 6 feet from the second floor. So I'm going to copy that second floor up 6 feet. So I'm starting to recognize the shape of the building. The roof is going to take place here. Let's do some trimming just to clarify what I'm looking at here. I didn't want to take that grade line out of there. So I'm just cleaning this up a little bit. Let's start here, huh? So I want to put the slope of the roof on here. The slope of the roof is a 12 pitch, or 12 on 12, indicated here, which also happens to be 45 degrees. And that's going to originate right from here. So I'm going to take a line first. This is the way I would do it. I'm going to go straight up, starting with a line at this corner. I'm going to go up 12 inches. And then I'm going to go over 12 inches and draw a line back to where I started. So all I got there was a line that now tells me the slope of my roof. Next thing I'm going to do, because I want a center point, a midpoint on this part of the building. So I trimmed the line out here. Now I have a line with a midpoint that represents the width of this building. Now there are many, many ways and tactics you can go about drawing an elevation. This is one way. This is, my way, or one way to do it. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to draw a vertical construction line right there. Okay. You could also use a vertical construction line on this slope with just 2 clicks. Alright, so now trim. So this is the bottom line of our rafters. It's an 18-inch overhang. So I'm going to draw that in now. I'll use offset 18. Click the line I want to offset. So there's my overhang. Right? This is the fascia. So I'll trim this. Then I'm going to offset the thickness of that rafter. This is 12 inches, 12-inch fascia. So I'm going to actually call it actually 12 inches. Some of the new composite trims, Gold Bond, Hardy, you can actually get a real 12 instead of the 11 1/4 we're accustomed to. So as I'm going, I'm cleaning this up. I'm going to trim this out of here. So you'll see that I'm working on one side, not both sides at the same time here, because of this. I'll get this nice on one side, and then I'll just mirror it. It asks, do I want to delete this source object? No. So we'll bring those corners together. If you're in my lab, you know I like this tool called chamfer. Click this line, click that line. Okay. So the spring line we don't need anymore. This is a helpful line telling us our second floor. This will keep first floor. I'll trim this line out of here. Okay, so we're starting to see the basic shape of this house. Let's go back to this elevation. So what do I know, what can I recognize about this elevation that'll help me draw this? So we know this. The ridge beam aligns. The top of roof aligns with the roof we just drew. And so does the drip line, right? The drip edge. So this is the drip edge and fascia of this roof. So they both align. So I can draw this here without having to go and draw it here. I already know its shape by looking at this, which is not always the case. So I'll look at the overhang. We got a 1 foot overhang here. So I'll go back to CAD and draw that. So this is pretty simple. I'm going to just use a line starting here. And I'll track this point, which is the edge of the building. I'll hover my mouse on that point for a second. Gently move the mouse up. Click. That ends that line. I'm going to go 12 inches for the overhang and back out. Now as I'm coming down, because I know it's going to align with this drip edge, I'm going to track that point. Right? This is called tracking. This is an option available in AutoCAD, where you hover the mouse on a desired point or plane, and it gives you this tracking line. All right, so there. there's the basic shape of the house. Right? I guess we could get rid of this line. So what do we want to do next? Let's look at the windows. On Vanco Hall, I gave you a window. And so the pictures of the house, if that helps, are also in Vanco Hall under a previous week. So you can go find those. Let's see, we'll go to week 8. So here's the window available for download that I gave you. We'll open that. So what I'll do is simply, I'll select this window. I'm pressing Control C. Go back to my elevations. I'll press Control V. And then here's the window that I'll use to place. This is the window typical for all first floor windows. And for the second floor window, you'll refer to your window schedule from the second floor plan, and you'll size these windows accordingly. So let's look at one of those. So here's the second floor plan. So I'm going to use a vertical construction line. I'm going to go into this, since I know these windows are right in the middle, that makes things easy. Otherwise I could place lines here, and that's kind of then the width of my window. Alright, but we don't really need those. We could do those over here. So here's the second floor line. On your plan, we've noted that all of the windows' head height is 80 inches, or 6'8", above the second floor, which is a very typical window head height in residential construction. So I'm placing the window sort of where it needs to be. We know that it's going to be in the center, and there will be 2 of them. So I'm going to put the center line. This is window 10, I believe, from the window schedule. So what I'm going to do, there are a few different ways to do this. I know this window needs to be, so I'm going to copy this, 41 inches wide. And the window that, as I've downloaded it, is 34 inches wide. So I'm going to use a tool called Stretch. Here's the icon, or you could simply type S and enter. And the stretch command is this. So I've copied the line over 41 inches. I'm going to grab half of the window, just half. Then I right click. Choosing the edge of the window for a baseline, I simply stretch it over. Oh, I missed my base point. Let's try this again. So right click, select my base point, move that over to the new width. I'll have to recenter these vertical lights here. Alright, just check on this to make sure. We'll measure it. It's 41 inches. Yeah, 3'5". So now I'm going to just move this window over to the center. From here, I'll either copy or mirror. Get rid of these lines. So there's how I placed one window. You'll go through this exercise in placing the rest of the windows. For the door, you can draw a door, or you can get a door here from CAD. Go to View, Tool Palettes, Architecture, Door Elevation. So we'll bring this in and see what it looks like. So when I import this, I select it and it gives me modifiable attributes. One of them is the height. We want to change this to 6'8". That's more of a typical residential door. Then I'm going to move this into place. So of course it's on the first floor, and to get its location, I'll use a center line from this one. Move this over, just like that. So you'll have multiple instances of placing the windows here, 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 the door on both elevations, and it's basically the same exercise that we just done. So this is the conclusion of part 1. Stand by for part 2. will take you through hatches, sheet layout, and some other things.